Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to the new people. I'm glad you guys are here. I know this sounds kind of perfunctory. Happy birthday, Pashka and Jason. Jason, I remember when you came back from your last slip, and every time I see you in a meeting, it always tickles me that you're still here, still sober, and congratulations on the kids. Thanks, Taryn, for setting the bar for me with the performance art. That was, I truly enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It was very, truly it was funny. And thank you for sharing. Thanks for, I'm impressed that anyone's here tonight. It's, it's Friday, it's Christmas, it's, winter solstice and the Mayan thing tonight, and all this shit is happening, and there's a lot going on in the world. And we're all here on a Friday night at a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I think that says something, There are a couple other things I wanted to say before I got really into it, but just to get out of the way, I got sober October 20th of 1989. I was 16 years old when I came to my first meeting, and I stayed from the first time I came here. My experience is that I didn't have to go out and relapse. I'm grateful and lucky that wasn't what I needed. I got what I needed when I first came, and I stayed 16 plus 23 years sober. I'm 39 years old. I'm going to be 40 next year, and it's been an incredible experience. And I want to share what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. Got so much gratitude and so much. I've gotten such an incredible experience in these rooms from taking the steps and learning how to live and being taught how to get free from my alcoholism. And when I came in, I was the opposite of free. I was, a prisoner of my disease, in every way. And I found something in this room, and I found it immediately when I got here. And it's like at 16 years old, I had been craving it for so long without even realizing it, that when I first got here, I was so ready. I grew up in Los Angeles. I was born in Laurel Canyon. I wasn't born in Laurel Canyon, but that's where I grew up. I used to come. My mom worked at UCLA, and I used to come with her to hang around Westwood Village when I was a kid. And I've always whatever. I've always loved Westwood. That's sort of neither here nor there. But I always felt like I was different from the beginning. I got sober when I was 16. My drinking and using story is longer than the amount of time, is not as long as the amount of time I have to share tonight. So I don't have these amazing, colorful stories when I was out there before I was 16 of, waking up from a blackout on a private jet, with the Rolling Stones, and, joining the circus. I didn't have that experience, as it's sort of, I don't want to talk about the elephant in the room, speaking of circuses, but this meeting has changed since I was last here. It used to be, a lot older and stuffier, and I gotta say I like it now. I just remembered as I was driving over here, this meeting has been a very, very sort of important meeting in my sobriety over the last 23 years. And when I was 2 years, I got sober with my best friend, and he didn't stay sober. And one time when he came back, I said, Seth, if you stay sober for a year, I'll give you a cake at Rodeo naked. See, I don't remember, like, he told me I said that. I was like, that didn't happen. Needless to say, he stayed sober for a year. He didn't stay sober much longer, but he got to that year, and it kind of evolved into, I'll give you a cake in my boxers. And this meeting was so big that it went like miles and miles back. There were people everywhere, and people would gather around the piano. There'd be tons of people, and I gave Seth a cake in my boxers. I had this like Michelangelo, you know, the birth of Adam sort of boxers, and I'm not really sure where I'm going with this, but I remember this guy, Ron, like there was a whole crowd of people around, so you couldn't really tell, but of course my boxers got pulled down. I mean, that's gonna happen, right? So, you know, I leave them down there for a few minutes. No, I just pull them right back up, and where was I? Rodeo. Rodeo was a very, that this meeting means a lot to me, and you know, I want to say I get distracted by, you know, people texting and all that stuff in the meeting. I don't see anyone texting in the meeting, by the way, at all. So I don't even know why I'm bringing this up. But like, when I used to come to this meeting, when I was new, I wish we had fucking text messages to do that. I was so bored in meetings, you know. Like, I remember I would play with my key ring for just like staring at my key ring, and the whole point of this is like, if I don't want to hear something, I could be sitting in the front row staring at you and still not hearing a fucking word you're saying. And on the flip side, if I do want what we have here, and I'm coming here because I need something from the meeting, I could be in the back row, there'd be people talking around me, you know, playing Angry Birds or whatever. Like, I will hear it because you know, it's like I'm willing to go to any length. So I was born without skin. That's sort of how I feel best describes it. I was a very, very sensitive kid, and everything either felt really good or hurt really bad, and there wasn't really any sort of balance. I don't know if like I needed to be medicated and wasn't or whatever, but I wasn't medicated, and I've never really, even in sobriety, I've never needed or taken any sort of medication, any mood elevators or whatever. I don't know what they're all called, but like, you know, Prozac or anything like that. I'm grateful that I guess like I don't have, it talks about on page 133 in the big book that, you know, that there are many great doctors and you know, we can seek their help and, you know, science and all this stuff. And that hasn't been my experience that I've needed it. But that said, I got sober through therapy. I mean, I talk about I didn't go to rehab, I didn't go to treatment and detox, any of this stuff, but I did get sober through someone, through going to a therapist and talking to this woman week after week. And the one rule was that I couldn't be high when I came there. Just to back up, I was as a kid, as a smaller kid, I was like anything that I could do to make myself feel different, I would do, and like, you know, I would you know, eat spoonfuls of sugar, you know, and I would you know, like I would watch TV, like I would always trying to be getting something, like I needed something that I didn't have, and that's sort of the best way I can describe it. Something on the outside of me I needed to fix me, and I looked for it in, you know, cartoons and toys, and I was always just, if I just had the, you know, the Star Destroyer, everything would be okay. If I just had the Millennium Falcon, like that's all I need. Like as a kid, like I really fixated on toys that would fix me. And as soon as I got that, I would need the, you know, the AT-AT, or, you know, fill in the blank of whatever the toy, I don't know. I would just need something, and I would never get what I needed, or whatever I thought I would need to make me feel okay. It was elusive, that feeling, and you know, thank God, eventually I did find pot. Pot was my drug of choice, and I loved it from the moment I first tried it. Ironically, this is really embarrassing, but like when I was growing up in like the mid '80s, there was this thing called the DARE program, you know, just say no to drugs, dare to say no, or whatever. And I got really kind of into it, like in a weird way. Like I was really into the DARE program. Like I almost knew that I was going to like need something, some extra buffer, because I became this dare narc, and I mean not really a dare narc, but I have an older sister who is a couple years older than me, and she was experimenting with drugs, and I would sniff her breath, and you know, I'm going to tell mom and dad, and eventually she said, you know, Tony, I'm going to get you high because I can't take this anymore. Like this is, and I heard all these things, just say no, just say no or whatever. And I threw it all out the window and I said, fuck yes, let's, I want to get high. And I remember it vividly, the first time I got high in my sister's room and her friend was there, and it was profound, and it was, the weed back in like the mid 80s was so bad, but I didn't, I got so, I found what I was looking for finally, it's like I heard this at Sundowners like 20 years ago. I found, like, I felt like I was the puzzle piece, and I finally got to see the cover of the box or whatever it is. Like I got to sort of feel the feeling that I'd been searching for all along. And, subconsciously I realized that this is something that I'm going to have to do for the rest of my life because I need to chase this feeling. I didn't really articulate it that way. But, that was when I was, 13 and a half or something. And by the time I was 16 and a half, I was so done. Like it escalated so quickly, and like it stopped working so quickly. I'm kind of embarrassed that I got sober so young. Like, why couldn't I do more to stay out there? I mean, it's a strange sort of feeling, and I know there's a lot of young people here. I don't know how young you were when you get sober, so if you can relate, but like, something about getting sober at 16, I almost feel like not that I don't qualify, but I feel like I have extra things to prove, that I was bad enough and I did do enough, and it's sort of my own issues, but like on a fundamental core level, I know I am an alcoholic. I know that. I know I'm a drug addict, and I know all of that, and the fact that I've been willing to do this work, which has been sometimes not that much, sometimes everything I have, to stay sober for 23 years and a couple months is a testament that this is the real thing. And it's like once you get sober, that's when, that doesn't sound right, but like a lot of stuff, more gets revealed. I mean, I got sober, I was dealing with alcoholism, and I was dealing with adolescence, I was 16, I was a virgin, when I got sober. That wasn't something that I had focused my energy on until I got sober and was like the kid in the room, and that was a whole nother story in this room actually. Yeah, well, you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I mean, I found like I was saying, like AA. This therapist introduced me. She actually set up, it was kind of an intervention. Like I was ready to get sober. I sort of came clean and had this moment of clarity where I knew that something had to change. I noticed like my I was taking a lot of acid, and I was noticing some weird stuff going on. Like my brain was just working funny now. Anyone who took a lot of acid, and like you just start thinking differently, and it kind of scared me. Like I was kind of a precocious kid, very smart, kind of accelerated and gifted, and I noticed like I wouldn't be able to finish sentences, that it would kind of drift off, and kind of got scared. Like I felt like I was losing some of my intelligence or something, and that was kind of one of the things, and I would always get high alone and in the dark, and I didn't want, like I wasn't this like social user. Like I was a fucking alcoholic, and I was ready to get sober, and I'm so grateful. I just want to get into sobriety already. I mean, we all know what it was like. We all are here. I was a cutter. I used to cut myself with a razor blade, to feel something. Like I couldn't articulate it then, but if I felt physical pain, it would almost like sort of cathartically let me feel the emotional pain I was feeling, or something like that. Someone explained it to me, but I would cut myself, and I remember writing my name Tony in my arm, but it fucking hurts when you're doing it. So I got as far as T-O, and I stopped. So I had 2 on my arm. I was a cutter. I was a kleptomaniac. I would steal things. When I got to my 4th step, I had to make amends up and down Ventura Boulevard, to Moby Disc, Music Plus, the Warehouse, all these places that I had shoplifted from. I was a vandal. I used to, one of the things I'm not very proud of, but I broke into an elementary school with a couple other guys late at night, and we trashed this elementary. I have like a son in kindergarten now, and weird to sort of think about, like what I did. But like we broke into school, we lit candles and made mess and everything. And we found in the closet there were these like garbage pails filled with like the earthquake food. And when you're stoned, like granola bars, juice boxes, we went through this entire thing of like earthquake supplies and just trashed this place. And that was a fun amend. And the principal was actually pretty cool about it. I went back to Dixie Canyon Elementary, and I had gone to the log cabin that morning, and I'm like, I'm gonna make this was like one of my big amends, and I grabbed a newcomer. I'm like, come with me, kid. You're gonna watch an amend in action, all this stuff. And I brought this kid out to Dixie Canyon Elementary in like Sherman Oaks or something. And asked to see the principal. She was really confused on what was going on and why I was there, and she thought that this newcomer was my sponsor. And but I did it, and it really didn't matter whether she accepted it or not. I was able to clear my side of the street. So vandal, and I was a pyromaniac. I don't know if any other pyros in the house. Like, I used to like to see things burn. It's such a thrill to watch fire. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Come on, don't leave me hanging up here. Fire. I mean, it's like this fundamental. So that was what I was like, and my therapist introduced me to this guy. She set up this meeting with this guy named Bob Timmons. He is no longer with us. He passed away a couple years ago, but he was like this sobriety, like 12-step counselor, which there wasn't really a lot of back in 1989, but he was this sort of legendary guy. I didn't know, but he was this gnarly guy with all these tattoos, San Quentin, like he was the real deal. And he took me to a couple meetings. He took me, my first meeting was Thursday night, Ohio Street, on Ohio Street. It was young people's meeting. He had two very kind of like famous in my world kind of people meet me at this meeting, like well-known musicians, to like take me at first meeting. I was this 16-year-old kid, head up my ass. I didn't like, he presented Alcoholics Anonymous in a way that was very attractive to me, that it was this fun, it was young, and there were a lot of people. And I remember, honestly, I remember two things about the first meeting I went to. One, there was this guy, Brett Cantor, there, who was murdered in 1993, and I remember he had shared there. And the other thing was, at the very end, everyone suddenly got up and hold hands, which made me very uncomfortable. I didn't know what was going on. And then they started saying the Lord's Prayer, which, as a 16-year-old Jewish kid from Laurel Canyon, I had never heard the Lord's Prayer. Actually, the only time I had heard the Lord's Prayer, there's this Prince song called Controversy. 4 minutes into the song, like it goes into this break, and Prince starts chanting the Lord's Prayer. So I was so confused. Why are people chanting the Prince song at the meeting? It was really confusing, but I thought it was really cool, and I knew it probably wasn't the Prince song. It was something else, but I liked what I saw at the meeting, and I wanted what you guys had. At that first meeting, kind of like that experience I felt the first time I got high, I felt like this is kind of what I had been looking for, kind of what I've been looking for when I was getting high, kind of what I was looking for in all those things my whole life, looking for something to belong to or something like that. Not something to belong to, but I felt I felt a feeling, like I had this, cathartic experience in my first meeting, and definitely had I don't want to say I had a spiritual experience or anything. I didn't, I kept going to meetings. I haven't used or drank since that first meeting, but, I didn't, do the steps. I put myself in the first 90 days in very, very precarious situations. One in particular where I had a bottle of alcohol in my hand, and I was going to drink it, and these guys who were drinking were like, don't drink, you have 90 days sober. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I guess so. But I was still holding it, I was sniffing it and all this stuff. Like, it's weird to think of these positions I put myself in. But, I got sober, and I didn't work any steps for the first 11 months. And as you can imagine, I didn't really change that much. So I was kind of still the same guy, but I wasn't drinking. So it's like I wasn't sort of pushing down all these feelings. Anyways, I was By the time I had 11 months, I was so fucking miserable and unlikable and impossible to be around. I was, I sort of fell into this group of guys, Stelio and Shane and some of these other guys. And this guy, Shane said to me, he's like, Tony, I'm going to buy you a drink because I can't deal with this. Like either you get drunk tonight or you do what we're doing, because this sort of in-between guys and working. My nickname in this group of guys was Droopy. They call me Droopy because I couldn't look at you in the eye when I would talk to you. I would look down at the floor. Like that, my self-esteem was so low that I almost like subconsciously didn't feel like I was deserving of your eye contact or something. What's up, Benji? Is that you? So Droopy and Benji is here. In sobriety, in my early sobriety, I was the same guy, and it wasn't working either. And it's like I knew I either had to leave AA or do what everyone else was doing and sort of see what experience I could get. And I'd done a real half-assed fourth step. I did it with Doug F. at Ben Frank's, which is, does anyone remember Ben Frank's? It was where Mel's Drive-In on Sunset is. It was like the old version of that. And I did my fourth step in like a half an hour, just reading a list of my resentments at someone, and it was very half-assed and not thorough. And I guess it was enough to get me to the point where I got, but eventually I wanted to do what you guys were doing, and I wanted to get the experience you were getting. And, I did. I was able to dive in, and I started reading the big book, and I started working the fourth step out of the big book and doing 4 columns, and like exactly as it was shown. And I'm so grateful that like the group of people I was with at the time were really enthusiastic about the steps, and going to meetings, and I had a really amazing time in Alcoholics Anonymous for a long time, just doing doing the steps, going to meetings, coming here, taking commitments. I had a commitment here for, years, and just being young in AA was so fun. And I hope, you guys are all having the same experience that I was having, staying out late and drinking lots of coffee and, there were sober dances. I don't know if they do those anymore. Is that a thing anymore, sober dances? They were kind of lame, but they were kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like they were corny, but everyone else went, so it was all right. And I had a great, just a great time in AA, being young and being stupid, but like being sober and, doing the work and like just being young. Like my whole 20s was in, my whole 20s and my whole 30s have been sober. I have been sober like 60% of my life, which is, I guess it's weird. I guess I can't really comprehend what that means. Like all of these numbers that I hear are kind of beyond my comprehension. 23 years sober, like that's not a real amount of time. That's like trying to conceptualize $1 billion. Like you can't think of what $1 billion looks like. That's what 23 years kind of feels like sometimes. Like that's not real, but I know that I have calendars. Like I know I've stayed sober this whole time. And I've done the work, like I've been around in AA, and I know I haven't drank, I know I haven't used, and I have gotten things beyond my wildest dreams. Like that's my message is in sobriety, like through staying sober, like my wildest dreams have been like short. So, you know what I'm saying about the wildest dreams? Like things have gotten good, like really good. Like I'm embarrassed to talk about how good things are. Like Jason, like I got married. I met this beautiful woman who loves me, and I have a family, 5.5-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. And, I have a career. I have an employee that works for me. I have a business that I've somehow figured out that I have had for 10 years now. I started my company 10 years after being fired from every job I've ever had. I started my own company doing what I thought I was pretty good at. And now 10 years later, I'm still doing it. And people still sort of tricking people into paying me to do this thing for them, and it's great. It's great. Like, I have my own business. I work out of my home, kind of. Like, I have 10 minutes left. Oh shit, it's only 9:09. What? Okay, great. Well, good. Yeah. So thanks for the update on that. So the steps. The steps. I've gotten such a. That's great, because now I can cut through all like the fluff and just start talking about like what I really want to talk about. These steps and the experience of the uplift that comes from working these steps. And when I had about 10 years sober, exactly right around 10 years sober, I had another sort of spiritual experience in AA where I started working the steps on a daily basis, basically is what happened. And someone showed me a way to work the steps in a very pragmatic and effective way where I can feel good now. I don't have to wait 6 months to do a 4-step or whatever. I take inventory. I mean, basically, you've all heard on page whatever the fuck, that, we have a daily reprieve. I think 86 or 87, something like that. Wilmer, what page is that? 86? And so you guys know we have a spiritual experience contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. On the daily, basically whatever we do today makes us feel, makes us okay today. And my experience is that when I do the steps and when I do that, I don't get a daily reprieve. I get a 6 to 8 hour reprieve. You know what I mean? Like, I do the steps and then I still, like, it keeps coming back. So I got to continue. I have to continue to do these steps to feel good. And the miracle, or not the miracle, I hate that word miracle, but like the great thing is that like it's all right there. All I need is a pen and a piece of paper, and I write down, my resentments and my fears, and I ask God to remove them. I ask God to take them. I don't want to work through them, and I don't want to, do worksheets on. I want God to remove them, in the sixth and seventh step or whatever. And I turn it over. I do it. I've found a way to work the steps in kind of a practical way that allows me to get relief. I do take inventory. I try and do it on a daily basis. Take inventory. The more you do it, the less you have. You know what I mean? If I take inventory every couple months, I've got a lot. If I take inventory every day, it's a couple lines, I'm done. 11. Continue, saw through prayer and meditation to improve, to get conscious contact with God, to get conscious of God. All my life I wanted to get high. That was what I always wanted. And, I was taught how to meditate, in my sobriety. And the term, transcendental meditation is the way I was shown. What the word transcend means to literally, to elevate, to transcend, to get high. And so it's like, in a way, through meditation. I know it's, kind of semantic saying I'm getting high. I'm not getting high the way I thought I wanted to, but on another level, I do kind of elevate and my consciousness raises and I feel uplift, and all those things are kind of like similar, not the same, but better in lots of ways, because there's no like side effects or anything. And 10, 11, into 12, like I want to feel good. Like that's really what it's about for me, is that in AA for a long time now, I just want to feel good. I want to get free, and I have tools. I have a toolkit that I can use whenever I need to get free. And it's like a metaphor I like to use is like the sun is like it's literally a power, the solar power. So the sun is like, let's say the sun is God. Now, if it's cloudy or nighttime, I guess nighttime, the metaphor doesn't work, but if it's cloudy then like it's irrelevant to me if the sun is out there, because if I can't feel it, it's not real. You know what I mean? If I'm not feeling God, I don't give a shit that someone else is feeling God, someone else is having, unless I feel it myself personally, it's just this theory. So I need to find a way to feel God whenever I want to. Or whenever I need to or whatever. So, using the tools, using the steps, and using specifically the inventory, I get to, take a resentment down and take a fear down and start wiping away, clearing away, the mildew that's there. I don't know where the word mildew came from, but like the clouds, and wiping away the clouds so I can feel the sunlight of the Spirit, which is always there. But unless I can feel it, it's sort of not real. So it's there, but it's not real. And when I feel it, It's there, you know, and it's real, and I get to express that, you know. I get to come to Alcoholics Anonymous and share that. It's like I pick up a pen and paper and, you know, just start writing and see what comes out, you know. And then I sit down and you know, close my eyes and start saying this sound that I was taught and see what happens. I don't, you know, the thing that I was told about transcendental meditation is that it works regardless. Like, you don't, like, it's not about concentration or focus or trying to manage or can control it. It's just you sit there, you say the sound, thoughts come, thoughts go. You know, you're not supposed to not have thoughts, because you can't not have thoughts. They're going to come. But you try not to hold on to them. And, you know, over time, cumulatively, is that a word? Cumulatively, sounds funny the way I just said it. I think it's the amplification. But, like, it starts having this tremendous effect. You know, like around the time when around the time when I started doing all this stuff, and 10, 11 into 12, just expressing, you know, it's like you hear in this room, we're powerless. My experience is that I am powerful. Like, from taking these steps, you know, in 1, 2, and 3, I admit I'm powerless. And then 4 through 11, I start gaining power through doing this work. And in 12, you know, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, carry this message, practice these principles, that is powerful, you know. And I get to, I don't want to say express this power, but I get to go to meetings and just sort of be myself. Like, what the great thing is that, like, I found a way that for so long I would go to a meeting needing something. I would go to a meeting, like, I need a good speaker. And if it was a good speaker, that was great. And if it wasn't, I would, like, it's like I needed something from the outside to make me feel better. And now the way I try to live is I do the work before I come to a meeting. So if it's a good speaker, that's great. If it's not, that's fine too. I can go talk to a newcomer, whatever. Like, I'm already okay. And you know, just so grateful beyond words for the life I've gotten in this program, you know. Bought a house in Santa Monica a couple months, 6 months ago, and like all these outside things have come that I'm kind of like weird about talking about, but like, I'm 39 years old. Like, I feel like in some ways I have another, 49, 50 years ahead of me, sober. One day at a time, I get to do this work and I get to feel good, and I want, like, why would I want, like, what out there could I get that could give me anything like I'm getting in here? It's like, I can't imagine that, and just to close, I don't know how that was like 35 or 40 minutes. It flew by really quick, but like, I had this sort of weird epiphany while Taryn was sharing about the whole Mayan calendar and the apocalypse and all this stuff. And I know it's like, haha, funny, but like, it's like, that's almost like alcoholism, that it's been this thing that has been happening and it's all leading up to today, right? Everything is, everything is just gonna come crashing down today, and that's like alcoholism. And the cool thing, I haven't thought this whole thing through, so I don't really know how this is gonna come out, but see, just sort of follow me on this. After today, it's like an open book now. It's not been written. And that's like I'm trying to say is like alcohol, like when we come to AA, it's like we can close that book of everything that's predetermined and supposed to happen, this apocalypse. And now, like December 22nd, 2012, it's off the books, you know what I mean? We're off the calendar now. The Mayan calendar is over, and now it's like we're free of this, of whatever that means, you know what I mean? And now we get to like have this sort of new history. And the point I'm trying to make is like Alcoholics Anonymous is like this new history that we get to make in here. Our alcohol, we put all, it's like we let go of the past and we get to live forward. And so grateful. Thanks again for asking me to share. And thanks.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. If that shows up, the gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.